everybody, my name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Last month was the Owl Magical Readathon. I read 5 books that went towards my owls, but I actually read a total of 14 books this month. Or this past month rather. I had so much fun participating in this readathon. There were things going on Twitter. I was able to connect with a bunch of different people on YouTube and Twitter because of this readathon. And thank you so much to all the people that, communicated with me and talked to me about, what they did in their owls and what they were reading, because it was so much fun to kind of reading along with everybody and, getting to experience this with other people, via the internet. It was so much fun, and I'm gonna first talk about the books that did not go towards my owls because I have a lot of them, and then I will talk about the 5 books that went towards my Wandmaker career, since that's the one I chose. So I will also leave a link below for all of the reading vlogs that I did last month and kind of giving you my thoughts and opinions while I was reading those books. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first book that I read in the month of April was It Seemed Like a Good Idea at the Time by Kylie Scott. I thought I was gonna really enjoy this. The beginning of the book started out fabulous. The main character, O.W.L.s, was super funny, she was witty, just had all this big personality, and the forbidden romance trope of an older guy, younger girl is usually my jam, but unfortunately the twist at the end, the kind of big main thing that happened really just made it fall flat for me. It's a trope that I don't really like. That's a big reason why I didn't like it. The second reason why I didn't like it is the hero, the guy of the story. He just does a lot of things that aren't very nice, and O.W.L.s ends up forgiving him way too easily and just giving in, and it's just, I don't know, it just didn't seem realistic to me. It was okay, wasn't my favorite, just kind of was a little bit let down by this book. The second book that I ended up picking up this month was Tales in Time by G. Bailey. This was a Kindle Unlimited book that I picked up in another reverse harem or why choose book. It kind of dealt with the whole idea of fairy tales and how this girl is a part of this world. So honestly, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I was kind of interested in moving on with the next book, but I think it doesn't come out for a little while. But if you are interested in fairy tales, reverse harem type books, give it a try. Some of the books by G. Bailey are a hit, some of them are a miss. This one was just okay for me. The next 2 books I gave a 1 star to, and I DNF'd the 3rd book, so I'm just not even gonna, count that as being read. But it is a To Tame the Shifter, and it's another reverse harem why choose book. Gave them 1 stars. Don't really want to talk too much about it because I don't really like talking bad about books. But yeah, this just was a big fail for me, unfortunately, and yeah, just gonna move right along. So if you watched any of my other previous videos, I am actually doing a big book reading challenge. So each month I'm reading a big book, which means 500 plus pages or more, and I ended up reading 2 of those books. One of them I did count as for my owls, but I finally finished O.W.L.s by Robert Jordan. This book was kind of difficult to get through. The main characters were, really fun to see the different perspectives from. It was just very slow going. I kind of struggled a little bit in the middle to kind of motivate myself to get back into this world, but I really did like this book a lot. I have been going back and forth whether I want to do a dedicated whole review to it. I even wrote a whole bunch of notes down, but what kind of got me about this book was it is just so much like Lord of the Rings, almost where certain parts were happening, and I was picturing the movie in my head because I haven't read the books, but I was picturing the movie in my head, and I was like, that happened in Lord of the Rings, that happened in Lord of the Rings, and it was such an ode to Lord of the Rings, and almost an exact copy. So I read a lot of different reviews, I watched different reviews on Eye of the World, and they all kind of came to the same conclusion that Robert Jordan did this so that way he could build a very good foundation of his world and kind of expand on that. So since I've only read the first book, I can't really attest to that and say that it's correct, but I'm going to trust them since most of them have read the entire series and even love the series. I did end up purchasing the second book in this series, so I do intend to move forward with reading it, obviously. I'm not sure if I want to commit myself to trudge through another, 600-page novel of a lot of nothing happening. Cursed Strength of the Gods is another reverse harem why choose book. I've been listening to these for several months now. I don't know why, I just kind of spread them, pick them up whenever I feel like it, and I finally picked this one up and just really enjoyed it. They're a lot of fun. The main character is just so quirky and funny, and she's clumsy, and it's just a lot of fun. Basically, you read it to get a good laugh, and yeah, pretty much that's all I have to say about it. It's just really cute. And I believe these are on Kindle Unlimited as well. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating is a book that I've seen a lot of hype surrounding, and I was kind of nervous to pick it up, and I kind of feel that I was justified to be nervous. I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. So at first with this book, the characters, it was difficult to connect with them. I just wasn't quite there. Later on, I kind of felt for them, and I was like, oh my goodness, y'all are so cute together. And I really did enjoy Hazel's personality. She was very quirky, she was very weird, had so much confidence. I loved her as a main character, but there is a trope in this book that I just can't get behind, don't really like it, and that kind of ruined it for me. The epilogue at the end of the book kind of made up for it, but not really, and I gave it 3 stars, and I really wanted to like this one a lot more, but that being said, I am very excited to read their next novel that is coming out later this month. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson is an amazing young adult sci-fi novel. I know I fangirl a lot over Brandon Sanderson and his work, but it's very much justified, and this was so much fun to read. So Spencer is a main character that I really adored. She was very frustrating at times, which just made her more real. It was very interesting to see her perspective and seeing how she would overcome these prejudices that people put on her because she was branded the daughter of a coward, and all she wants to do is become a pilot and fly for the government and just protect her people and be this brave person, because this is a very interesting society. It is one that has to do a lot with pride. So if anybody does something that dishonors, you know, their family, it ends up reflecting on the children and their children after and things like that. So it is a very interesting book. It's a very different society. I really enjoyed this, and it has one of my newest favorite characters, and like, it's not even a real person. I freaking loved this book so much. If you're thinking about picking it up, I highly suggest you do. It was so much fun. Another sci-fi book that I read, because after I finished Skyward, I wanted to read more sci-fi, and that was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This was very difficult for me to get into, to be quite honest. I struggled a lot with the terminology because I wasn't quite, you know, making connections to certain things, but eventually once I got about like 1/4 into the book, it all made sense, or I just went with it. I didn't care, and I loved this book. So Darrow is a red, and this society is based on colors. So you have the reds, pinks, browns, different things like that, and the very top ones are the golds. And the golds are the premier of society, the best looking, the more money, the more power. Being a red, he is a miner, and they're told that they are making the planet Mars habitable for the people of Earth to come and live there. Something happens and Darrow's wife ends up murdered, and he wants revenge. So this is a great action adventure story, and you know, revenge story, and character driven, and a great world as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and if you are looking for a great sci-fi novel, and if you really like dystopian novels as well, this is one to pick up, because for some reason I didn't realize this was a dystopian novel. It even says it on the back. Yeah, I didn't read it obviously. So that was kind of a little bit of a shocker. I'm very excited to pick up the next book in the series very soon. For my OWL career, I chose to be a Wandmaker, and I had to read 5 books for that. So I had 5 different challenges to complete. So let's go ahead and go over those books. The first OWL that I ended up completing was For the Care of Magical Creatures, and I fulfilled that with The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. This is a second novel in the Last Magician series. I think that's what it's called. I'm not really sure what the series name is called. I really enjoyed this book. It's a multi-perspective young adult novel, and it deals with a main character in the very first one, and she has magic where she's able to go back in time. Basically, there's a heist that she needs to make sure that it does not happen. If you read the first novel, it's based around that. I don't want to go into too much detail about this novel because it takes place directly after that. I really did enjoy the second one. Lisa Maxwell wrote this story where I was very frustrated with the characters, and I actually had to put the book down for a second and pick up another novel, read that, and come back to this, just because I was just so frustrated. Things were happening in the book and it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to, and I just had to step away. I think this book was very well written. I had a lot of fun. It is very big. If you're interested in picking up the series, I highly suggest you do. I really do think it's an underrated series. But yes, this fulfilled my Care of Magical Creatures owl. The next book that I ended up reading was My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This fulfilled the arithmancy owl, and that would be more than one author. I really enjoyed this book. It was a rom-com, and oh my goodness, it was so cute. I really enjoyed that some of the parts were written, let me find it, like they have like little pictures and like dialogue, things like that. It was like text messaging, emails, things like that. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed that these characters were a little bit older. They're professors at a university. They have a great group of friends. It's one girl and three guys. I think it's three or four guys. And it's just so cute, and it's friends to lovers romance, which I love that trope. So if you're looking to pick up a Christina Lauren book, I suggest this one. I might be in the minority about that, but I really enjoyed this book. I liked that the characters were a little bit older. I liked some of the format of the book, and I liked the trope a lot more. Ancient Ruins was the next owl I needed to complete, so I read A Curse So Dark and Lonely for that. It is a retelling by Bridget Kimmerer. I really do enjoy a good retelling, and this was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. There was a lot of mixed reviews about this. Some people said it was very good, some said not so good, but I really enjoyed it. The main character has cerebral palsy, and she is very strong. She's one of the strongest female characters I've seen in a very long time, and she doesn't let that get her down. And you know, she fights for what she wants. She wants to go home and be with her family. It took the Beauty and the Beast retelling and gave it a big twist. If you're looking for a good retelling, a own voices novel, and just a really fun ride, go ahead and check this book out because I freaking loved it. The second to last owl that I needed to finish was Herbology, and I read Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. This is a very short young adult novel, and I had so much fun reading this. I read it in one day. Obviously, you know, very short. This is a fabulous story about survival, friendship, love, all of that stuff. It was just so fabulous and so much fun. The main characters were so strong, and there was a bunch of survival things they needed to figure out, and you know, family dynamics that were very interesting to read about as well. This book is very short but packed a huge punch, and I believe it is a standalone, and I'm very upset about that because I want to be back in this world and be back with these characters. But if you're looking for a short read that is a lot of fun, has a lot of action, this is definitely a great one. And the last book that I needed to read was a Charms book. So that is an adult novel, and pretty much almost a lot of these books that I read this month could have gone towards that, but I chose The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks. This is the second novel in the Lightbringer series, and I love this book so much. The Lightbringer series is one that I really enjoy. It's a multi-perspective series that, you know, goes back and forth and keeps you hooked at the end of each and every perspective. In this series, the magic system is based on colors. So there are drafters, and those people can draft different colors. The more powerful that you are, the more colors that you can draft, and the prism can draft all of the colors. So this book has a lot to deal with, not just, you know, magical fighting. There are politics that are involved. This is an amazing epic fantasy series that I really enjoyed, and I can't wait to pick up the next one, but it's even bigger than this book, and I'm kind of like scared to pick that one up. I really like the characters. They all have different flaws and are not perfect, and I really enjoyed it, and it has a bunch of great humor. One thing though that really does bug me in this series is the fact that Kip, the Prism's son, he is always talked about by being fat, and they always harp on the fact that he's chubby, and it just kind of annoys me. I'm like, really? That's really what you're gonna focus on? I can move past it. I really enjoyed this series. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to pick up the next one. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my April wrap up, my Owl Readathon wrap up. I read so many books this month, and they were all fabulous. Well, most of them were fabulous. And I have some new favorite books, some new favorite series, and I have so much more reading now that I need to get to. If you've read any of these books or want to read any of them, please leave your comments down below. I would love to chat about the books. Please make sure to subscribe. I will be posting some more videos soon, and I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!